in the end, when they were talking about the 80-20 rule, which I still don't think is a real thing, but whatever. When they were talking about the 80-20 rule, he was like, yeah, I should have gotten a warranty on Trina, or like, I should have read the factory things, because she doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, she doesn't do laundry, she doesn't da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, what do you do? You're complaining about all the
like,
stuff
you can do that stuff too. Take out the trash. What do you mean?
She's like, she doesn't clean, doesn't cook, doesn't take out the trash, doesn't do da-da-da-da. I'm like, it doesn't seem like you do that either, so we're all just living in a pigsty hungry? Like, what? Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Del.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
Alright, so today... Alright, so today was Why Did I Get Married?
Yes, by Tyler Perry. Writer, director, star, all that.
Does it all, yeah.
So, as always, IMDb. The big screen adaptation of Perry's stage play about the trials of marriage and what happens to one family when a sexy young temptress arrives on the scene.
Okay.
So, okay.
I didn't know it was based on a play, but yeah, nice.
Me neither. The play part is news to me.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is more or less, that little description is more or less what pops up when you're on Hulu. So,
okay.
That's good to know.
All right, so
as usual, as always, we start off with things we liked.
Yeah, I guess I'll kick it off, I think.
Yeah.
I thought this one had like surprisingly good acting.
So did I.
Like, yeah, I thought the actors kind of all like really got into their roles. Like, you definitely saw those scenes of emotion. Like, I know Sheila especially stood out just because he was like really going through it during the movie. But yeah, there were like a lot of like real tears, a lot of like just, I don't know, good like on-screen chemistry between the actors. But it was like surprisingly good acting in this one, I thought.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard for me kind of like separating the acting from what they had to like say on the script a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they they did have like pretty good on-screen chemistry, all the characters together, even though sometimes the script was not doing them any favors. But yeah, overall I also gave a shout out to Sheila. She was absolutely fantastic. She's played by Jill Scott, who is stunningly gorgeous. So every time her husband Mike would be like, I looked at you and I laughed. Like, how could you think you're sexy? I'm like, shut up. She's literally so stunning. Like, just everything about her is absolutely, she was so gorgeous. I was like looking at her face the whole time like, you're really bad, dude. Like, she's gorgeous. What are you talking about? I also gave a shout out to Angela because I thought she was my favorite character. Just because she was a shit stirrer and she was the friend who we needed in that friend group who was ready to, like, call Mike out on his bullshit. Call, like, basically everybody out on their bullshit. Like, as soon as... I wrote down the note, Angela is the best. As soon as... Mike came in with that girl whose name, is it Tracy or something like that?
Trina, I think. Yeah.
Trina? Yeah, I think Trina. As soon as he came in with her, and she was like, oh, no, we're going to talk about who is this? And I was like, yes, Angela, thank you. Where people need to be asking this question.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah, I thought this movie was, like, really funny. I'm not sure if it was funny in the ways, like, Tyler Perry wanted it to be funny, but... I found myself laughing a lot during this movie, especially just the scenes. Like, it was mostly me laughing at the chaos, especially in like those kind of beginning scenes. Pretty much the movie up until they leave the cabin. I just thought like all those scenes of chaos were just funny. Like, we got like another good dinner scene, I thought, where people kind of get all their tea just kind of aired out. So I just found myself laughing a lot at this one, and again like. I don't think it was as much due to, like, the lines or anything, more so just due to, like, the chaos and, like, absurdity of, like, some of the scenarios in this one.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I also pointed out the secret telling table time, the dinner scene, that, like, penultimate one, kind of like, I guess, the climax where everyone's dirty laundry gets aired out and then they have to, like, deal with the fallout. I liked it, although I did think that other people should have gotten involved in it. So it was a true chaotic scene full of, because everybody had a secret, and I think it would have been much better and, like, more, I guess, I'm not going to say powerful, because this isn't, like, a powerful movie, but more, like, satisfying if everybody was getting in on the secret telling instead of just like Mike going at it with Angela. Like, I definitely get why those two clash, because Mike's not shit and is like really terrible to Angela's friend. So Angela's always standing up for her friend. But I definitely would have liked it if, like, as secrets were coming out, people would have been like, well, you're telling my secret, I'm going to tell this secret, and da-da-da-da. I feel as though that would have lended to the chaos and made it, like, a bigger, I guess, fire in terms of what happened.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I also thought, like, I guess, aftermath of that conversation was a little strange, because they kind of all left right after that. I thought it would have been nice to have, kind of the fallout still be in that cabin, but,
Yeah, that was my biggest gripe of the movie. Like, I don't know if you have any more positives. That was all of my positives.
Okay, yeah, no, we can get on to negatives now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else. I guess you can start off then.
Yeah, but that was my biggest negative of the movie. They definitely should have stayed in that cabin because that was the actual premise of the movie. When they bring it up with that clunky expositional dialogue in the begining, because that was clunky as hell. It was I had to sift through cottage cheese or something. That was so bad. But LaToya Jackson, or that's not LaToya, that's Janet. That's my bad. I'm so sorry. But Janet Jackson's character, she's like, yeah, so my friends and I, we go on a retreat for a week and we just like sit with each other and like really be with each other and we think, why are we married? And we stay there for a week. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because I don't think I've seen this movie before. I've seen like bits and pieces of like the dinner scene and like a bunch of Angela stuff I've seen. But I don't think I've seen this movie all the way through. So I was like, okay, so we're going to like hang out at this cabin for a week. And that's the whole premise. Especially once the dinner scene happened. It's like you get this big, monumentous like explosion that goes on. And instead of like staying in the wreckage in that cabin, we all like disperse and it kind of like clears a little bit and everything. And it's like, no, you kind of like lose the momentum when you do that for me. They should have all stayed at the cabin still, just so we can see everyone like work through their problems and actually come to like proper solutions instead of the like slap shot way they kind of like just put a Band-Aid on it in the end, because the ending was real bad. But I think they definitely should have stayed at the cabin.
Yeah, I'll like second that. That was kind of my big gripe with the movie. I thought everything that happened once they left the cabin kind of sucked. Like, I really enjoyed the movie. Again, like, I was laughing a lot during this movie just because of all the chaos and just having these actors on screen together.
Yeah.
Having the scenario of them all being in the cabin where this guy brings his, like, side piece kind of thing. Like, all that chaotic energy was there. And then you get to that dinner scene and it's like, oh, shit's about to pop off. And then they all just kind of leave and everything gets patched up separately and, like, on their own.
Yeah.
And it just, like, kind of didn't go with the premise of, oh, on this retreat, everything gets fixed, and at the end of this retreat, we're all better for it. It felt like they left the retreat. Yeah. They all should have just gotten divorced. And then, like, even after they left, there was still a bit more falling out that happened. Like, there was the scene where, I don't remember the guy with the baby mama kind of, like, snaps on both of the girls and then walks off. And then, I think the like, main girl, Terry's character asked for a divorce, too. It's like, after they leave that dinner scene, it's like, okay, things are still going bad, but then at some point things just kind of get patched up, and it's kind of one of those like very forced, like, because the title's Why Did I Get Married? These people have to kind of stay together kind of thing. So like I didn't really like any of the movie after they left, and like it was hard for me to care about these things because it was also one of those movies where like I don't really think any of them were that great as a couple, at least from what we see in the movie. So like I'm kind of rooting for them to not be together. Like, I was glad Sheila kind of found someone who actually cared about her, But so, like, watching all these other things get forced back. No, she really was. And the only one who had, like, any type of growth or anything. Like, everyone else just got kind of
She had an arc. Everyone else was, like, the worst. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was just really bad. Because essentially what happened in this movie is none of the conflicts were actually solved. What happened was the main premise of this movie, I guess, besides the Why Did I Get Married, the underlying thing that they want you to think is that women be crazy. Men are men, women be crazy, and like you got to control your woman so she does whatever. It's not about having like a true partnership in a marriage, because it's all about like, it's just very antiquated and like those old gender stereotypes with the guys going off in the den and the women are in the kitchen cooking. Like as soon as they did that, I was like, I know what this movie is. But when it comes to the conflict, none of the couples solved their conflicts on screen. They kind of like just because what happened was they just always addressed the most surface level and petty of their problems, which tended to be the one where the woman was like popping off about something and she was rightfully upset about whatever scenario. And then the woman would then have to go to apologize, even though you're not yelling in a vacuum. You're not just crazy and mad by yourself forever. Like, no, these are like, there are two sides of the argument, and we're not getting the side where the guy has to be like, oh, well, I've done this wrong. Like, even Angela's thing, he had this, like, her husband said something like, you're so used to losing. You don't see, women are so used to losing. They don't see when they won. And I was like, did she win? Like, are you a good guy? Because, like, up until this point, her main gripe was that you're, like, getting real close with your baby mama and letting her talk all kinds of way in front of your children about your actual wife. Like, you weren't actually addressing that until the very, very, very end, and I don't know what spurred on that change. Same with Tyler Perry's character. They brought up the fact that he got a paternity test on his daughter, and, like, that legit was never addressed again.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of bring it up a little bit in their final argument when they decide to get together, because she's like, I did the pros and cons things, and I realized the good outweighs the bad. And I'm like, how? He essentially wants you to, like, quit your job so that you could have more time for him and have another baby. Because, like, she definitely wants to be a little more career focused, and they should have talked about that before they got married, so they should get divorced. But that whole thing was going on, and like, they never actually addressed the fact that he thought she had an affair, and, like, how that will affect their family. Like, he made up this weird lie about how this girl who's, like, their daughter's tutor, he was like, yeah, by the way, she's pregnant with twins. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It was so stupid.
That was one of those scenes I died laughing at, but I don't think it was intended to be funny as it was.
I saw, and then it was that kind of thing where it was like, you're gonna villainize her for not wanting to put up with your bullshit of getting another woman pregnant, although she rightfully shouldn't have to. It was just, so much of this movie just hinged on the premise of women are crazy, stand by your man, that it just, like, none of the conflicts actually got resolved. We just kind of, like, it was like, Angela, you gotta stop being crazy. I have been crazy and yelling. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, you cheated on her, she cheated on you. You guys have real problems underneath that. Oh, you have to spend more time with me. You're right, I should spend more time with you. Meanwhile, I got my tubes tied by myself, which technically you can't actually do in America. Fun. Awful fact. But you can't do that alone as a woman. Just, you can't. And then their whole thing, like, she wants to work more, he wants kids. You guys actually need to figure that out. Sheila's the only one who actually did a good job of, like, you know, growing as a person and realizing she didn't have to put up with Mike's bullshit.
Yeah. So I had all that written down as, like, Tyler Perryisms. I didn't know what to call it.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it just felt like such a Tyler Perry movie where, like, you know, the guys are always absolute shit, and then the girl, like, stays with them anyway because, like, they're not the absolute worst, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it was just, like, a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of, oh, but he's a good man even though he does all this. Oh, but I love you even though, like, I call you fat 24/7. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a lot of, like, those kind of, again, I call them Tyler Perryisms just because, like...
Yeah, that's what it was.
And, like, honestly, you even mentioned that, like, you've seen parts of this movie. I couldn't tell if I had seen parts of this movie or if just, like, he reuses some lines. Because, like, that line, especially the one that really got me was the line where the dude who got burned is like, yeah, I don't know where I got it from. She's like, oh, I gave it to you. I cheated on you with this guy, you know?
Oh,
I swear that exact thing happened in another movie. I don't remember which movie it was, but, like, there were like a few other moments like that where I was like, you are the only one in this writing room, and I know that, but I can tell, like, that, you know, you've been writing these movies a little too similarly, you know? You're cranking these out a little too fast, you know?
Yeah, the line where they were talking about, like, a good man, women don't know a good man if they see him, or, like, the, women are so used to losing, they don't see when they won. Those things I definitely could have sworn were in another Tyler Perry movie.
Oh, yeah.
Those felt like really strong Tyler Perryisms. I was like, Tyler Perry, I can tell you're in this writer's room alone, just, like, awake with no windows, just, like, going on zero sleep doing these movies. And you're like, you need to talk to other people and get other perspectives.
Yeah.
And do other things. Because, like, this movie is not great for me.
Oh, man. But But yeah, I don't think I had anything else specific. I like this. The script was just kind of like awful. There was just
It
like
was
a
a
lot of just
bad
weird
script.
moments that like aren't things people would say, or like
Yeah.
conversations that needed to happen didn't happen. Like things were said that didn't need to be said. Like things were said awkwardly.
I
like,
said
go
I said
ahead.
a lot of the problems were like false because if you just talk to someone for 2 seconds, it would be over.
Exactly, and that's kind of that Tyler Perryism of like, let's avoid the obvious conversation that two normal individuals would have, and let's like gaslight each other or something. Like there's a lot of like
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Yeah. I guess the final problem I have because this was a mess of everything because it was just Tyler Perryisms. But the final problem I had was the women's friendship. It wasn't good. Like, as a basis, I can tell Tyler Perry doesn't know how to write female characters in a way that's good. Because the women didn't make sense. Like, they say they're best friends with Sheila, but all of them didn't. But only Angela wanted to tell her that her husband was, like, blatantly cheating on her. That's BS. If at any point I knew my best friend was getting cheated on, I will say to her partner or whatever, you've got 24 hours to tell her, otherwise I'm going to her. Like, as soon as your 24 hours is up, you got 24 hours to man up or woman up or whatever. Tell her this. And then after that, it's on me and I'm telling her. Like, no one would be like, she's not in a good place for it. Like, no one's in a good place to hear they've been cheated on.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
what?
why they're not in a good place
That
because
didn't
they're
make any
being
sense.
cheated on, dude.
I know. But I called it like they're sitting down friends. Only because every time they should have, like, stood up and taken an action, they didn't. Like, when Sheila was on the road by herself, not a one person was like, okay, let's all go out in the freaking snowstorm and meet Sheila halfway wherever she is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she's in her old rinky-dink car. They were like, I called her and she didn't answer. And I'm like, call again. Like, keep calling.
Yeah,
If
that
for
whole
whatever
scenario
reason,
was wild to me. That, like, because, like,
That
what?
was wild.
What? She gets kicked
And it
off
was
the
like-
plane, and you're sitting there with, like, I don't even know who the other girl was that she got invited to the
That
trip.
was their family friend, which, like, she seemed like a friend of Sheila's, but that can't be true. Because if, for whatever reason, I'm on a vacation with my friend and her no-shit partner, and she gets kicked off the plane for whatever reason, you better believe I'm going with her.
God.
And then I'm killing her husband for not going with her, too. Like,
Yeah.
what? What? And then, like, as soon as the friends find out, it's like, you guys are in this cabin in a snowstorm. Why is no one, like, calling the sheriff, calling, like, the police department, being like, hey, my friend's on the road. Like, send out some of your husbands who you all love so much and think you should stay married to. Send some of them out on the road and be like, hey, we're going to keep driving and see if we can find Sheila. Like, she left at X time. Let's figure this out. Why didn't Sheila meet them at the airport? That would have been smarter instead of going straight to the cabin because they took a taxi. That's another thing. Also, the logistics of the trip. If there was a snowstorm, they should have been stuck in the cabin.
Yeah.
So, never mind the fact that they should have stayed the entire week because that was the premise of the movie. Once it got to the point where they were like, oh, we should just leave, it should have been that they couldn't leave because there was a huge-ass snowstorm. So they were like, kind of like, oh, I want to get out of here. Then they're forced to stay and confront their marital problems. And we should have had a nice long tracking shot of of everyone in their separate couple bedroom fighting as we, like, go through each door to just, like, see that each couple is, like, having problems now. That's what I would have done if this were my movie. I also would have been better at writing female characters so that, like, we weren't just like, yeah, Sheila, where are you? You're in the snow. Like, no. Like, I'm taking action now.
Yeah. That Sheila fiasco was bad. From, like, start to finish. Like, just bad all around, But, yeah, that was Why Did I Get Married? I guess ratings.
Didn't do any ratings?
Yeah, ratings. I guess you wanna go first? Like, expectations are low.
Oh, man. My rating for this movie was a 1.5. I just didn't have fun. Especially because so little of it takes place in the cabin, and that's the place where I, like, thought we would have had the most potential for, like, comedy and even more fun. And we left that cabin real quick. I also was just getting frustrated by the lack of communication with everyone, especially since they were supposed to be friends, as mentioned in my long rant about Sheila's friends. And just, there were too many Tyler Perry-isms. And we didn't even have, like, a nice, fun Medea moment to, like, I never thought I'd say I want Medea, but, like, my goodness. We didn't even have, like, a nice Medea moment to, like, break it up with, like, intentional jokes. We got, like, just, it was too messy for me. I didn't have fun. And none of them should be married. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I give this one a 2 stars. I actually did have a lot of fun with this one. Again, like I almost felt like I watched it as if it were a parody movie, and that made it like a lot more fun.
That
Again,
would
like
make sense too.
I enjoyed this movie a lot, but again, once they left, the movie got a lot worse. Like I think had they just stayed in that cabin the whole time, like this movie would have been so much better, just so much more enjoyable. I would have
Yeah.
enjoyed it all the way through. But like, I really did have a lot of fun, with the chaos in this one. But again, they like
Yeah.
just felt like they just kind of ruined it once they left the cabin and just like tried to patch everything up, and it just didn't work at all. But
Especially because they patched up everything off screen.
yeah,
Like everything
yeah.
got patched up off screen, which is not how you do a movie.
But yeah, it was just like a kind of another Tyler Perry movie. But I guess I'm just learning how to watch them better, and just like I think the movie takes itself way too seriously, and like as the viewer, I was not
Yeah.
taking this seriously at all. After that first Sheila scene where she like gets kicked off the plane, I was like, oh, it's that kind of movie, okay. But yeah, that was Why Did I Get Married? Or no, I'm
you
too
wish
early
you saw
again.
this sooner?
Final question: do you wish you saw this sooner? No, for me.
You're trying to get
How
this
about
over
you?
with.
I know. Tired of this movie. But what
Go
about
ahead,
you? Would
do you
you
wish you
see
saw
it
this
sooner?
sooner?
Yeah. Do you wish you saw it?
I'm gonna say no. I'm almost at the point where if I've seen one Tyler Perry movie, I've seen them all. Especially because I don't think I've seen this movie all the way through. But I made a note in my notes at 34 minutes 27 seconds. I said Sheila is going to end up with the sheriff, and I was right. And that was as soon as she parked
Oh,
outside of the
yeah.
sheriff's
Yep,
station.
yep.
She parked outside of it, and I was like, she's going to end up with the sheriff, isn't she?
Yeah,
And I was
no, I
like,
saw that
let me
coming,
make
too.
this note. I was like, let me make this a note so you guys know I knew exactly what I
Yeah.
thought that was going to happen.
Oh, man.
But I think I'm at the point where if I've seen one Tyler Perry movie, I've kind of seen them all. I just
you
need to
definitely
like
have. You definitely have. That's
know
because they're all
the
written by
general,
the
like-
same thing, all written the same exact way at the same time. Yeah. You could probably like switch
it's almost like
pages
a Mad
between
Lib.
scripts, just like mix and match script pages and still get a cohesive movie as cohesive. as
it's
these
almost
things
like a
get,
Mad Libs type thing.
Yeah.
Where he's like the blank man and the shrewd
Yeah.
woman do blank and blank, and they
Yep.
stay together because blank
Yep,
and God.
yep. Oh, okay, now that was Why Did I Get Married?
Did you actually answer the question though?
That was an easy no for me. Easy no for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you answered.
Yeah.
You're trying to get out of these questions so much.
But yeah, Why Did I Get Married? YouTube housekeeping, like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any movie suggestions for us, you can leave them in the comments down below. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of our socials will be linked in the description box down below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye. Tyler Perry doesn't know how to write people. I don't get it. Especially because he didn't understand the jobs. The jobs, I didn't understand any of the jobs. Like, also, especially the thing with the burning, that was another conversation that threw me off. Because he was like, I don't want to
came
tell
out of
anybody where I'm like,
nowhere.
you're a doctor. You need to learn more so you can give him the proper medicine. That's like basic
yeah.
doctor.
No, but the thing is, I had to rewind that scene because they were talking about something different. And then he says, "Hey, you got a shot for me?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What is he talking about? Like a shot at your wife? Like what?" And then he starts talking about his STD. I was like, "Where was the transition there?" I was so confused.